Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're going to be taking a look at this book, Predictably Irrational by Dan Ariely.
Ooh,
I'm really excited about this one.
I love that book.
Have you ever gotten to the checkout line at the grocery store
Yes,
and you're like, why did I buy all this stuff?
absolutely.
That's kind of what this book is all about.
Yeah, it's all about how we make decisions that we think are rational, but they're really not.
So what is it about our brains that
Well,
makes us do that?
so the book's main point is that we have these hidden forces, these biases that shape our choices,
Okay,
and they affect everything.
interesting.
Yeah, from how much we're willing to pay for something to who we find attractive and even our medical decisions.
So it's not just about shopping, it's
Yeah.
across the board.
It's about all kinds of decisions.
So how does that work with pricing? Give me an example I can relate to.
Okay, so Airely talks about this experiment with subscriptions to The Economist magazine. They offered three options, right? Online only, print only, and a combined print and online package.
Okay.
Now get this, the print only and the combined option were the same price.
So why would anyone pick print only?
That's the point. Nobody did.
Mm.
But it's about how they presented the options, right?
Okay.
They used what's called the decoy effect.
Decoy.
Yeah. By adding that less attractive option, like print only,
Right.
they made the combined option look way better.
So it's all about
Yeah.
making one thing look good by putting something worse next to it.
Exactly. It's all about relativity.
Yeah.
We don't judge value in a vacuum. We compare.
It makes sense when you see a sale,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, that's a great deal. But is it? Really?
Right. That's the question. Predictably irrational really makes us ask.
So are we just suckers for marketing then?
Well, we are susceptible to these biases.
Okay.
We often assume that a higher price means higher quality.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But that's not always true.
Not always.
So we got to be careful.
So how do we outsmart our brains then when we're at the store,
One thing to think about is social norms.
Social norms. What's that?
It's this hardwired need to conform,
Yeah.
even when it's not in our best interest.
I don't know how that affects my shopping. Yeah. So think about it this way. There was this experiment where people were willing to work for free,
Really?
but when they were offered a small payment,
Okay.
they suddenly demanded more.
Huh.
Yeah. Even though it was still a reward, it felt insulting.
So if my friend asks me for a favor,
Yeah.
it's different than some random company.
It's a different set of rules.
Oh.
Social norms versus market norms.
Okay.
And they're powerful motivators.
This is really making me rethink
Yeah.
how I make decisions.
It's are we ever really in control?
Or are we just puppets?
That's what's so fascinating about Predictably Irrational.
Yeah.
It forces us to recognize that these biases, they exist.
They impact us way more than we realize.
I'm going to think for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's what's cool about it. You can use it to make better choices.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
Now that I know these things,
Right.
maybe I can outsmart myself.
Totally. With the social norms thing,
Yeah.
maybe next time you're asking for a favor,
Yeah.
think about how you frame it.
Interesting.
Yeah. And another bias Airely talks about is anchoring.
Anchoring, what's that?
It's this idea that the first number you see, even if it's totally random, can affect your later decisions.
It's kind of weird.
I know, right? But it's true.
Okay, so how does that work?
Well,
Give me an example.
okay, so picture this. Airely asks a bunch of students to write down the last 2 digits of their social security number.
Uh-huh.
Then they bid on things like wine and chocolate.
Wait, so just by writing down a number,
Yeah,
it changes how much they'll pay?
exactly.
Yeah.
The students with higher numbers bid way higher.
That's crazy.
It's nuts, right?
So, how does that work in real life?
Oh, all the time.
Not just with chocolate.
No, think about salary negotiations.
Oh, okay.
If you say a number first, you set the anchor.
Oh, I see.
So if you start low,
You're probably going to get a low offer.
exactly.
Wow.
And it works with price tags too.
Right.
If you see a super high price first,
Yeah.
even if it's a ripoff,
Right.
other prices will seem better.
So stores are using this on us all the time.
They might be.
Like a mind game?
That's the point of predictably irrational. We're
Yeah.
constantly being influenced.
Even when we don't know it.
Right. But once we know,
Yeah.
we can make better choices.
So, okay, we've talked about the decoy effect.
Yeah.
Social norms, anchoring. What else is there?
Well, Airely also talks about procrastination.
Don't even get me started.
I know, right?
Ooh.
We all do it.
Yeah.
But his research shows that just setting deadlines
Okay.
can really help us be more productive.
Deadlines. How does that work?
It's about pre-commitment.
Pre-commitment.
Yeah, so you create these external constraints.
Okay.
And it forces you to get things done.
So it's like I'm tricking myself.
Kinda. You're using your irrationality against itself.
Huh. That's actually pretty smart.
Right.
So this book isn't just about, like,
Yeah.
pointing out our flaws.
No, it gives us tools
Okay.
to make bong choices.
I like that.
Yeah, it's empowering.
This is really making me see things differently.
I know, it's really cool.
Like, I thought I was in control,
Mhm.
but now I realize there's all these
Yeah.
forces at play.
It's a whole new perspective.
Yeah, it's kind of freaky, but also kind of cool.
Right. It's like you're seeing behind the curtain.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, like,
Yeah.
do we ever really make decisions for ourselves?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Or are we just, like,
Yeah.
influenced by all these things?
I mean, we all have these biases.
Yeah.
It's part of being human.
So it's not about being perfect.
No way.
It's just about being aware.
Exactly.
So, Kate, let's say I'm on board. I want to be more rational,
Good.
or at least, like, more aware of when I'm being irrational.
Right.
How do I do that? Like, what are some things I can actually do?
Well, first of all, congrats on even asking that question. That's a big step.
Okay.
Like we've been saying, awareness is key.
Right.
Once you know about these biases,
Yeah.
you can start to see them coming.
Okay.
And you can even use them to your advantage.
Oh, how?
Well, like with anchoring,
Yeah.
maybe you start throwing out higher numbers when you're negotiating,
Ooh, sneaky.
right? And with the decoy effect,
Yeah.
you can be more careful when you're shopping.
Like, really think about if it's a good deal.
Exactly.
This is starting to make sense.
Yeah, you're getting it.
It's like, I have a secret weapon now
You do.
against all the marketing tricks.
And your own brain.
But, like, nobody's perfect.
Yeah,
Right.
Of course not.
We're all going to make dumb decisions sometimes.
That's tough.
But at least now I can, like,
Yeah.
be more aware of it.
Exactly.
So the takeaway is that we have more control than we think.
I think so.
We're not just slaves to our irrationality.
That's the power of Predictably Irrational.
Yeah. It's a really cool book.
It is.
The whole conversation has been super eye-opening.
I'm glad.
Like, I feel like I understand myself better now.
That's what it's all about.
And other people, too.
Yeah, it's like you have this new lens
Yeah.
to see the world through.
So if anyone's listening
Yeah.
and you're interested in this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
you should definitely check out Predictably Irrational by Dan Ariely.
Such a good book.
It's a really fun read.
Yeah, and it will make you think.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's what the deep dive is all about, right?
Absolutely. Exploring new ideas, challenging our assumptions.
Learning new stuff.
Yeah.
So if you enjoyed this deep dive,
Yeah.
make sure to subscribe to our podcast
We've got more deep dives coming.
every week.
Yeah, all sorts of topics.
So you don't want to miss it.
Definitely not.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and keep those brains curious.
Stay curious out there.